Tumetembea vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Sound Candy Talk Live News.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another amazing episode, another amazing moment. The principal remains Kamakawa, Kamadawa. I'm the host, Shadizo, but with me inside the studio, I'm having a long Douglas, and I want to welcome you to the show tonight because it's another day, another banger, whereby we'll have to talk a lot of things that has happened today and a lot of pressure out there because of everything that is happening, or because of what the government is doing and what is the response from the people. Also, I want to welcome you. Please feel free to subscribe and also join the show. So I want to welcome you all for this amazing moment. Please come up. Let us have conversation.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk Live.
Okay, welcome back. I'm having Douglas instead of so let Douglas say hi to us.
Yes, that's right. It's Douglas right here. Welcome to the show once again. Let's have this discussion. So a lot has transpired in the country today. We are going to be breaking that, but we are not going to be doing that alone. I'm with Shadizo in studio, but as usual, we're inviting you into the studio. Shadizo will be sharing the link to StreamYard with you in the comments. Click on that link, let it configure your mic and your camera, and you're going to find yourself in this studio with us. So welcome to the show, Shadizo.
So I welcome you. If you're getting us, please tell us where you're getting us from, and it will be good so that we can have the conversation together in one accord and in an agreement. So I welcome you all with a humble heart. So first of the day, let us break out the deals of the day. And the deal of the day, let us begin with the story of the university funds, the one that opened us for the show tonight.
Receive clarity on the process within the next 14 days after the Court of Appeal reinstated the contentious new funding model. In its ruling on Wednesday, the court overturned a previous decision that had declared the model unconstitutional, directing the Attorney General and the Higher Education Loans Board to publicize the funding framework within the set timeline. Laura Otieno reports on the latest developments.
Over 400,000 university students left in uncertainty following the suspension of the new funding model have been handed a fresh lifeline after the Court of Appeal lifted the freeze on its implementation. In a ruling delivered on Wednesday, the Appellate Court overturned a 2024 High Court decision that had deemed the student-centered funding model discriminatory and unconstitutional. The verdict paves the way for its immediate reinstatement. The court has now directed the Attorney General, the Higher Education Loans Board, and the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service to publicly outline the funding framework. They must ensure that all universities, current and incoming students, and prospective applicants are informed within the next 14 days. In what appeared to be a safeguard for students, the court went a step further, directing the three institutions to inform both current beneficiaries of the funding model and the new applicants that the framework could be subject to change depending on the final outcome of the appeal. This move ensures transparency and prepares students for potential shifts in their financial support as the legal battle unfolds. While filing their appeal, the Universities Fund and the Higher Education Loans Board argue that the ruling invalidating the new funding model had triggered a stalemate in the education sector, making it impossible to disburse payment to students. The Universities Fund defended the student-centered funding model, stating that it provided a more cost-effective and sustainable approach to financing higher education. Launched by President William Ruto in May 2023, the model, dubbed the Variable Scholarship and Loans Funding, categorized students into different bands based on a means testing instrument. Those classified under Band 1 qualify for up to 70% of government scholarships, while students in bands 4 and 5 receive 40% and 20% respectively. The model was designed to prioritize financial aid for the most vulnerable students while ensuring a fair distribution of resources. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
I think that was gotten it. I think you've gotten it there. That's how things are about the story about the funds and the story all about the student funds. It's being alarming because it affects the parents, the students also, and also the schools because they can't work effectively due to lack of funds, and also they can't contribute so much because we find it is difficult for a university or a college to keep a student while don't have funds to make sure or to keep the students at the school. That was what can we spoke about the finance of the school.
Okay, when they came up with this funding model, it really disrupted the education sector. It's higher education funding model for students. So I think we've had this discussion multiple times before because it's a conversation that has been going on. The previous model, the one that we used was, I think, they targeted as school generally. They targeted all students, and they'll just umbrella everyone under the same model using the same criteria. So this one was supposed to be student centered. Going down to every single student or applicants rather, and looking at the financial situation and that kind of stuff. But the problem with their programs is that they're too radical, and it's like they want to change everything all of a sudden and just flip the country. But we've been here before they were here. We've seen governments, and governments are supposed to have some sort of continuity. So when you come in and you want to change everything, and the government that you're serving under doesn't even have those kinds of resources, you're going to some extent, you're trying to do good, but you lack the resources, you lack the goodwill of the people, so the work is going to be shoddy. You have an incompetent team, corrupt individuals. So in as much as you may want to do good for the country, you may end up with lots of inconsistencies that may undermine your efforts to create that change that you really want to do. And I think that's the fundamental problem with the government of the day, the Kenya Kwanza administration. I think they should I don't know. I think they should involve stakeholders. For instance, in the education sector, they should involve the stakeholders. Just get them to understand. What should we do? We've had issues with the funding of the schools and the students themselves. What should we do? What's your opinion? solutions are better if they come from the people who are actually affected by them. So, and they're going to fight to face court battles until they learn that the framers of the Constitution, when they created public participation and all that stuff, they realize that decision programs that affect the people, they have to come from the people, or rather, at least the people have to agree with them. So that's my take. That's my take up until there.
Okay, you said that the decision must come from the people who are affected. So you're saying that they should narrow it so much so that to the students, so they give the solution of it.
Not really the students. The university, the lecturers, the guys that help, stakeholders generally. Stakeholders are, teachers, parents, students. You've been in school, you know what stakeholders mean. Parents, teachers, everybody who is involved in the education ecosystem. Everybody who is affected by it, everybody who understands, who the education sector is their day-to-day life. They may understand it better.
Okay, viewers, please tell me and please join up the show. The time is so much so spent. We're not here for long, we're just here for a very short time. So please, I ask you, join up the show and let us continue together so that we can have this conversation together as we are moving on swiftly and carrying on so that we can have an agreement. So that was associated there. Let us check another where we still checking about the story about the university. Let us check out this. There's one student who has been sent out from school because of using bank. Let us check this report out and then come to the conclusion.
Brutal caning by his maternal uncles. The late university student, identified as Brian Mogaka, had reportedly been suspended from the varsity due to alleged use of bang. It's alleged his suspension from the university angered his mother, who called on her brothers to discipline the boy, leading to his death.
At the home of the late Brian Mogaka, relatives and friends are huddled in groups, seemingly in discussion of his untimely demise and the mysterious circumstances leading to his death. The third-year university student at Chuka University had allegedly been suspended from the institution of higher learning due to drug abuse. It is said that his mother, Teresa Kemunto, called her brothers to talk to her son, but they tied him up and beat him for hours, resulting in his death. In an attempt to cover up their crime, Mogaka's maternal uncles carried his body to his bedroom and placed pesticide next to him, ostensibly to make it seem like suicide.
Tulipoangalia kwa kitanda, Brian alikuwa amelala kwa kitanda, lakini ukiangalia yeye hapa ni kwa mguu alikuwa amevaa rongi white. Kulikuwa na damu ilikuwa inatoka kwa rongi ikakuja juu hivi kwa inatiririka. Na tulipomwangalia kwa miguu yake hapa chini alikuwa anaonekana kama amefungwa kamba na mkono pia. Sasa tukajiuliza, na kwa kona hivi kulikuwa na dawa ilikuwa imewekwa kwa kikombe na ingine ilikuwa chini, na kifuniko ya dawa ilikuwa imekuja pande hii, ilikuwa imerushwa kwa hiyo mlango ya ndani kuja chini hivi sasa.
His mother, however, denies that account and maintains that her brothers did not intend to harm her son. Kemunto says the late student took poison and lay in his bed, adding that the family only found out when they went to wake him up for dinner.
Ndio nimetumana hii mtoto mdogo aenda ita Brayo akuja akule. Mtoto akaniambia niliita Brayo amekataa kufungua. Ndani ya nyumba tulipata tu uchi yenye imetapikwa hapo kwa blanketi.
Mimi vile amekuwa tangu mdogo sijawahi ona shida yoyote, hajawahi pia mtu yeyote. Hata mamake saizi ameniambia hata akiweka hata 100 kwa nyumba hajawahi pata siku moja. Lakini sasa tangu last year December ndio alianza kufuta hiyo bank.
The uncles fled the scene after the unfortunate incident. Nyamira North Sub-County Police Commander Elizabeth Wakuloba says police have launched investigations into the matter and are close to making an arrest in the coming days. The body of Brian was taken to Nyamira Teaching and Referral Hospital by the police, who processed the scene on Tuesday night. Mary Moki, Citizen TV.
All right. Okay. I think that's one of the updates of the day. And as we're checking out this today, the university student is being killed. Wanasema alianza kutumia bangi juzi. Sasa sijui bangi ilikuwa imeanza kuwa chakula. I don't know, but you have seen it has caused his life, whereby now, so sasa yeye amekufa. Sasa ataivuta ama ataikuta huko mbinguni. I don't know.
Sasa mwenye hajaivuta bangi alikufa.
Lakini wewe sasa amekufa kitu kingine ya kutatanisha. Unaona mpaka ameacha wazazi wakiulizana maswali kwamba tulikosea wapi ama shida ilikuwa nini. Manake hawajamuona hata isijakuwa sio kwa mambo ya swala au mawizi, lakini sasa unaona vile mambo yanajitokeza na the way things are aligning themselves. Unakuta inashindwa, inawafanya mpaka wanakosa wanashindwa vile wataelezea due to sio kitu wameona na sio kitu wamezoea. Indeed, so it's so intriguing because unajua kama hujazoea kitu ama hujategemea kitu na inafanyika, unakutanga inakupatanga offside sana. Na kama mzazi unashindwa utaelezea nini watu, utaambia nini watu due to such like things happening to your kid. It is so sad, and we really be tunaomboleza na hiyo familia, hoping that everything will be fine and everything will change up and come up and stick to normal. But we the university student, please avoid miadarati. Na kama unaona mbugi uko ndani na kupeleka kwa miadarati, tafadhali. Uliona kuna ule msichana alikuwa US na story ya miadarati mora. Ukimwambia sasa arudi tena nini, hawezi jaribu hiyo mchezo because that is so hectic. Please let us be careful, let us do watch out, let us be at least sensitive as we are living even in this our Kenya. Hii ni Kenya tu na kila mtu ni mtafutaji na kila mtu yeye anaweza amua kuomoka na wewe. Sicheze na mchezo wa Kenya. Kenyans are not joking. They're not joking. They are very serious because they mean business every time. Okay, as we also leave that, we need to check out the story about this young man who has been released after giving out 123 or 129 million paid, and then Steve was released. Okay, Steve has been also been one of the victims that went abroad and really found he was arrested due to he had a conflict with one of his colleagues, and so bahati mbaya alimgonga na akaanguka akakufa. So the family demanded that they supposed to be paid at least 129 million. Right now the money has been paid and then Steve is coming back home. Let us watch this hopeful news for the family and his mother, because right now the mother, we can see even the smile on her mother's face after a very long time. And then we'll see.
To return home. The United Democratic Alliance Party Secretary General Hassan Omar said that 129 million Kenya shillings blood money settlement was paid for Steve-O, now Abdul Karim, following a death sentence after a many colleague he fought with in 2011 succumbed to injuries. Seth Olali with the latest update, including reactions from Steve's Freedom Campaign team here in Kenya.
April 11th, 2025 will mark exactly 14 years since Stephen Munaho, aka Steve-O, now Abdul Karim, was sentenced to death and imprisoned in Saudi Arabia. Munaho was jailed after he was involved in a fight with a Yemeni colleague at a warehouse he was working in a tragic turn of events, the colleague succumbed to injuries. Munaho was initially convicted of manslaughter, but the deceased family appealed, resulting in an enhanced death sentence by the sword, with an option of 150 million Kenyan shillings fine.
I knew worse lay ahead because the spectre that then I have lived with was the spectre of receiving my firstborn's beheaded body.
Steve is a human being. We are all human beings with our frailties. We bring him home. It will be the Kenyan story of victory, however tragic it has been, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Munaho is now set to return home following a 129 million shillings blood money settlement paid for his release. UDA Party Secretary General Hassan Omar, while attending iftar dinner hosted by President William Ruto at State House Nairobi on Tuesday, announced that the Kenyan ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Mohammed Ruwange, and his Saudi counterpart, Khalid Al Salman, had confirmed Munaho's release.
An ambassador in Saudi Arabia have confirmed that request has since been honored. The $1 million has been paid, and the Kenyan will return home safe.
Stephen Munaho, aka Steve-O, now Abdul Karim, was due to be executed in May 2024, but Kenya's Foreign Affairs Ministry at the time said Saudi authorities agreed to suspend the execution pending further negotiations involving not only diplomats but religious leaders.
Commitment of justice and fairness.
The Muslim World League reportedly paid the 129 million shillings its religious leader and Secretary General Muhammad Al-Issa attended last year's state iftar dinner and was involved in the talks. The Muslim World League is a Mecca-based international Islamic NGO that promotes what it calls the true message of Islam by advancing moderate values. The Save Steve-O campaign, a support initiative set up by family, friends, and media fraternity, through a statement said, if accurate, this information will be an answered prayer for the family and well-wishers supporting the Save Steve-O campaign.
In my mind, as a mother, I thought that if something similar happened and the person that had injured me came to me, I would embrace them.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is currently processing Steve Munaho's release and travel documents. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
This is how things are on the ground, and that's how things are being positive. And I know people are still asking questions, but the justice will be just rolled out. What I want to do is I want to welcome you, all of you. Please join up so that we can engage for the next gear and check out the business of the day. One of the business of the day is the reshuffle of the cabinet. Let us begin the intro of the Nini. Before I bring in our communicator, I'll begin up with the story of the controversy a little bit. Let's check out the reshuffle of the cabinet, because also today there's a president still reshuffling. Anasema watu wengine yuko incompetent, wengine wako incompetent. Sasa sijui before ajiri mtu tunaangalia kama anawe kama ako competent ama tunaajiri kwanza alafu tutaangalia baadaye kama ako competent. I don't know. Let us check out this as we are beginning up the conversation tonight.
Blessing him with Geoffrey Ruku, the sole member of parliament from Muturi's Democratic Party. The move follows months of escalating tensions between Ruto and Muturi, which evolved from a quiet power struggle into public war of words. In a dramatic twist, Ruku, who represents Muturi's constituency, was in Muturi's home village preparing for President Ruto's upcoming visit when he received the news of his appointment. Sam Gituku reports on the broader cabinet reshuffle, which will see 2 cabinet secretaries swap roles and 2 fresh faces join the administration.
The tallest member of parliament in the 13th parliament was on the ground with Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki inspecting Kanyombora irrigation water project, which is in the village of outgoing public service CS Justin Muturi.
So mimi niko hapa area nazunguka hiyo Nairobi siendi huku tukipangana na hii wananchi wa Mbeere North tukingojea rais kwa hamu na hamu. We will welcome him kama shujaa wa taifa letu ya Kenya na shangwe na nderemo.
It emerged that DP Kindiki deliberately stopped over in Kanyumbora to let Ruku in on some major developments. The DP was with Ruku for just about 30 minutes, lifting off after accomplishing the mission. Shortly after 3 p.m., the news broke that Geoffrey Ruku, first-time MP, had been named to replace Justin Muturi as the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Human Capital Development, and Special Programs.
My first reaction, I was not sure whether those are true news, whether that is the case. So I was not aware at all that such a nomination can happen today.
Ruku is the only member of parliament from the Democratic Party, a party that Justin Muturi led to the Kenya Kwanza coalition in the lead-up to the 2022 general election. 2 weeks ago, the party issued notice to Kenya Kwanza Secretariat of intention to leave the coalition. It appears Ruku may well benefit from the coalition agreement before the notice matures. A Bachelor of Commerce graduate with an MBA in Finance, MP Ruku has been vocal since joining the 13th Parliament. He has been behind controversial legislative proposals, including the Assembly and Demonstration Bill 2024, which sought to impose stricter regulations on public protests by granting police greater control. In 2023, Ruku sponsored an anti-corruption amendment bill seeking to decriminalize some of the procurement offences. The bill was described by stakeholders as dangerous and a backward step in the fight against corruption. Ruku was behind the mobilization of Mount Kenya East leaders behind Professor Kithure Kindiki weeks before the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua commenced. During that meeting, the region declared that it was mature enough to chart its own political path without riding behind the larger Mount Kenya region.
Through collaboration and constant dialogue, we are confident that Mount Kenya East will progressively secure a stronger recognition in the national agenda.
An ardent supporter of the current regime who has not shied away from defending it, however controversial it may be, as late as last week.
In Nairobi, we have units which are probably 60%. We saw where the president went.
What does 60% mean? Just to notice, say.
60%? It may have different meaning depending on some. Let me say this.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer. Okay.
Ruku's resilience has paid off, reaping big from his boss, C.S. Muturi's loss. The president.
I will serve the Republic of Kenya in that office with the same dedication and commitment I have served the people of Mbeere North.
The president has also nominated lawyer Hannah Wendot Cheptumo to take up the Ministry of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage that has had no substantive CS since July 2024. Hannah is the widow of the late Senator of Baringo, William Cheptumo, who died mid-February. Hannah's nomination concludes the reconstitution of all 22 ministerial dockets. The gender docket remained vacant after Parliament rejected the nomination of Stella Langat last August. The two nominees will be vetted by Parliament before taking up their roles. At the same time, President Ruto has switched Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza with Aden Duale, who departs the Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Ministry after a 7-month stint. Afya House will now have two new top officials, the CS and the Medical Services PS, should PS nominee Dr. Omo Luga be confirmed by Parliament. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
That's one of the things that have been taking place, and that's one of the matter of the day. I want to welcome you so that we can have the conversation. I see inside the studio I have some panelists a little bit who have been joining up with me. Please don't stay away. Come as early as possible so that you can be on point. Don't wait until late. Then you can begin complaining that you are shy, we closed you out, we didn't give you enough time to talk. Please welcome on board. With me, Douglas, inside you, let us Douglas begin the conversation today.
I think we have Lala and Bernard. I'm just going to be posing questions for them. Okay, so Bernard and Lala, thanks for coming into the show. I hope you are all good. So maybe they can. Okay, I'm stealing the conversation, but anyway. So there was a reshuffle today. I think you've gotten that story. There were 4 changes in the cabinet. Muturi was out, replaced by Ruku. Ruku is MP from I think he's Muturi's MP, and he's also same party as him. Then Duale moved from environment to health. Deborah, former CS health, moved to environment. Then we have a new CS coming into the gender. Okay, so I won't. I think we should just move on. We should just hear from Lala and Bernard.
Okay, Lala, how are you?
Shadizo and Douglas, I'm well. How are you? It's good to see Bernard. Hi, Bernard. Okay, what is the question? Or I just greet everyone and comment on what I think is going on.
Yes. Please do.
Okay. I have to confess that I'm new to the news of the day, but I see Muturi has been dropped, and it was a matter of time it's going to be dropped. To me and to many like me, thinking that I have changing of cabinet secretaries has no consequence, because I don't think they know their job description. If they know, they are not allowed to perform. Generally, the major job of a cabinet secretary primarily is more of a PR and communication of those policies that the country has or they've developed, and also to be kind of in between the people and also the top organs that govern the country, so that there is a clear flow of information that are coherent, that are development focused, and that allows the leadership of the presidency to be felt, because they're doing their job. So when these changes take place, I don't even know, even Muturi himself, I think he was Attorney General at one point, and I didn't know even what he did, because he wasn't given, he didn't even, I don't think I heard him giving his legal opinion on many matters as the chief government legal advisor when he was there. And the reason simple: knowing who Muturi is very vocal guy, it's very abrasive sometimes, and for him not to be allowed to do that. So I don't think these people do anything apart from earning our salaries and for us to talk about them. Everything done in Kenya has been decided by Ruto and his people, and so to me, whoever has been selected or has been appointed will have no significance in terms of what they're going to contribute, because they are there not to do what they are supposed to do. They are there to be cheerleaders for the government, for Ruto. And again, Ruto has decided to do all this job by himself. He is the one that travels everywhere to implement and to announce what project is going to be done. And so to me, I think cabinet position in Kenya is simply useless. It's just drain on our economy and on our people, and that's my position. So, and also for rewarding region so that he has support there, not in terms of performance. Performance is a non-factor there. That's my my take on it. Back to you, Shadiza.
Okay, thank you, Lala, for that. Okay, so on to you, Bernard. Bernard, hello.
Hello to you guys. How is it going?
We're going good, hopefully. Just want to hear from you. So, CS Muturi has been fighting the government from within. And people have been asking him, why don't you resign? And finally, Ruto has fired him. I think that was the main. Okay, looking from a certain perspective, that was the main reason for this reshuffle. It was just a small reshuffle, 4 positions, adjustments here and there. Then he picks someone from his own party, his own constituency, actually his MP, to replace him. What does this mean to you?
It's nothing is surprising. It's the normal Ruto operation machinery of one, keeping Kenyans busy so that they talk about what he is pointing at them to talk about, other than question what they need to question. At the moment, the Muturi factor is William Ruto being served of his own plate of omena, and is refusing to eat it because when he was deputy president and he was rocking the government from within, he was asked to resign. He did not. And he worked, or rather stayed in office for 5 years, rocking the government from within. But Uhuru Kenyatta was patient with him all through. It is now his turn to show the tolerance and the patience he is supposed to portray, but he seemed not to be demonstrating the same, especially on the issue of Muturi. And then, of course, I'm not for the aspect of people rocking the government from within, but Muturi's reasons for the things that Muturi is raising up are important things that needs attention. And so if Ruto ignores that and then goes to replace him, it simply means he's the lord of impunity, and he doesn't have any other plan other than loading on Kenyans everything he thinks is what should be. And then, of course, the usual regional loyalty and rewards, which is meant, in my opinion, to fool Kenyans, majorly fool Kenyans in the sense that we keep changing the sitting positions, but you are seated in the same place. You are mark timing at the same spot. Nothing much is happening, but because people are shifting from this party to this party, shifting their loyalty, drop this, pick this, drop this, pick this. It's all a circus, in my opinion, and it's not taking this country anywhere. The new reshuffles, like you have well put, it's the same thing. The really thing was to replace Muturi or get Muturi fired, but because he wanted it to be enveloped and sandwiched into other things, that's when there is now the Duale switching to health, and then Baraza the other way, and then of course the Mrs. The late senator being given that docket hoping that she will pass the vetting at the parliament. And so I can just see the usual Ruto operation, and he's actually doing out the Moi script as usual and as it was feared. The Moi script, which is about what? Honor, wherever, galvanizing different regions, putting them together, and giving him that so-called national face. And of course, this is all laying down grounds for the rigging himself in office in 2027, dividing the mountain into Mount Kenya East, Mount Kenya West, and all that. It's all geared towards that. And if Kenyans don't take their time, they are playing right into the trap of William Ruto. So all I can see and all I can perceive in all these moves is they have no economic value. They are all for political purposes, and the politics are not working towards a better Kenya. They're only working on how to keep Ruto surviving, even when things are not looking up for him. That's what I can say, unless there's a follow-up question.
Thank you, Bernard, for the contribution. I think moving on swiftly, what I want to ask you people, please join up the show. Don't wait until late so that you can want to join us. Join us. The link is on the comment section. Let's estimate, configure your camera, your audio, and then you'll be inside the studio as we are checking these matters out. Okay. I want to pose out a question a little bit. Bernard, we have seen today that the president is saying that he's doing the reshuffle because people who are there are incompetent. So if somebody was incompetent, how was he chosen or how was he appointed to do the work without studying the background of the person so that you know that if he is competent or not competent for the work?
The William Ruto administration is an experimenting administration. I don't think William Ruto knows how to run a government. And despite the fact that he has been in a government all along, he seems not to have learned much as far as making the country work effectively by capitalizing and putting to use the capable hands and the capable minds that are around within the country. And if by any means he knows what is right to do, he chooses not to do that right thing because it may render him irrelevant. We are dealing with somebody who is sick and needs the public attention, and he needs to be the hero that he can't be. And so he will go to any lengths to secure his relevance by constantly looking for ways to be on the headlines and to make headlines. The whole of the cabinet as constituted, especially the initial cabinet, it was not inspiring any hope in the minds and in the eyes of Kenyans. And even the current reshuffles, they are not pointing to that aspect of looking for an expert to get things done. It is just a matter of playing politics. Comparing the two cabinets, the cabinet of Uhuru Kenyatta, you will see competence and necessity is the mother of invention. When there was COVID, okay, the minister for finance, the minister for health that was picked on, played a major role. When there was a crisis in education, they didn't bring a green person. They brought Professor Magoha and then, of course, Matiang'i. Capable people because you want the place fixed. But it appears that Ruto places a weak person in the place so that the place continues to be faulty. And as long as it continues to be faulty, it will continue to be a subject of discussion. So it is like his cabinet is meant to fail. It's not meant to succeed. The people he appoints are supposed to be incompetent so that they make him look more competent. We say in the school of leadership that a mediocre leader will surround himself with mediocrity so that he can appear excellent among mediocres. So he doesn't want to surround himself with excellence lest it exposes how naked he is and how incompetent he is. So he would rather surround himself with the semi-literate, incompetent people. Then he becomes the only learned person among that. Like you remember Moi's cabinet. Moi was a standard 8 guy, so he had to have people like Gihika, people like Mulu Mutisia, people that had not seen the inside of a classroom, so that when he speaks, he's nobody can correct his correction because he's the best among the people that cannot be competed against in terms of when we demand for excellence. So I see William Ruto is doing the same thing. And even when he claims to have replaced incompetence with another competent, that, look at the replacement of Muturi and tell me, was that necessary? I mean, if there was nobody to replace Muturi, I think Muturi should have remained. Okay? The guy that is coming in compared to Muturi, I don't know the guy much, but I think Muturi should be far, far ahead in terms of competence compared to the guy. I must give a disclaimer. I don't know the guy. I don't know much about the guy. But from what I've seen and what I've heard just in his acceptance speech and all that, Muturi is far experienced, far competent, and far capable than the guy that is replacing him. And so you can see that Ruto is just playing with the minds of Kenyans. He's not serious about fixing this country. He's not serious about making this country move forward. And so he must retain incompetence for him to remain relevant. He wants to be needed. That seek leaders who cannot, who don't feel good if people are not talking about them, and if people are not seeking their help or seeking their input. So you have those funny bosses who are always sick of being needed. And so if nobody's knocking at the door and asking this and that or asking for this help, they feel somebody's overthrowing them, somebody's replacing them. And so they will come up with some confusing things in order just for them to, feature in some talk or feature in some meeting. So that's where we are. And it is sad that our country, after 60, we are still behaving as if we are 2.5. It paints this country badly, and I think it's an embarrassment, to say the least. Thank you.
Thank you. Lala, what do you have to respond to that question?
Which question is that?
I asked, can you speak about the way the president handles the issues, whereby he elects somebody, he appoints somebody, but after sometimes he also go impeach the person because saying that the person is incompetent. So when he was employing that person, did he not make a good research or identify the person if he's competent for the work or an incompetent, so that he comes to impeach him or to remove the person out of the work because the person is incompetent?
I think Bernard answered that very well. When you ask somebody to do a job, first of all, you got to make sure that they have the relevant skills, the kind of people that a person, because you see, a president is a consumer of intelligence, and the intelligence is not just about somebody stealing here and there. It's about competency. It's about temperament. It's about many things. They look at different scenarios. Okay, profile of the person. So you know exactly this guy may have some issues. Well, there are times when one maybe go to a particular area or docket that they cannot perform for all kinds of reasons. And those are the things that might lead to a reshuffle, kind of mismatch. But those should be very rare because anyone with a proper understanding of their job in any area, when they come to a new place, they may take them a little bit of a time to kind of orient themselves with the intricacies of the new new department or new ministry. And that should not take long. And of course, this is a place where you work as a team. It's a teamwork, it's leadership, and a lot of things can be done or as a group. So if you are the president and you are there, you are the leader, and you select somebody that you tell us after a few days is incompetent, really it is your incompetency as a leader, okay, as a president. Because if the system is working well, there are things that you can, of course, you can call someone in your office and discuss certain decisions that you don't think is appropriate. Or maybe the case where you fire somebody is when there is some gross violation of something that you knew that you didn't know, that maybe your intelligence did not tell you, information that came out, some criminal behavior and all that stuff, you know. But to tell somebody they're incompetent, to me, I think it's a reflection of how he feels. Is himself the one who may not be very competent. That's the way I look at it. But you see, politics is always in this man's head or in this government, at the center of everything. You see, politicking, and talking that sense of the word, it means the economic agenda is not there, the social agenda is not there. It's about himself. It's about Ruto. It's about his future, not about Kenya. He's not doing things that will say these are the things that will speak for him. It's about himself. And as I think Bernard stated, that we have some leaders, okay? Let's give you an example in the military. There are those leaders that never got any promotion, okay? And they really wanted to, but they never got it. For some reason, they are not able to get it. And those people are very bitter people. Sometimes they come to a situation, they weren't able to know that they're the leader. So everyone has to be incompetent, okay? So they will do things like what I think we are hearing. So as been stated, I don't think we have a leader who is very competent. I think it's a sort of, maybe it's been hit so badly to the point where he is clearly incapacitated to perform anything. So these are the cases where somebody should be able to go home. But I guess in Kenya, nobody resigns, nobody goes home, and around, you know, and a lot of times they want people who around themselves, that kind of person that will be yes people. So we don't go for the best. In fact, when Ruto select you, know that that person may not be the best. Back to you, Adizo and Douglas.
Just a moment. Let me throw this in. Any serious government is not supposed to be seen doing any form of guesswork. The government is government because it maximizes all the information available, especially in its appointment, for stability and performance. What we are being treated to by the William Ruto administration has never been part of our operation as a country from since I was a child. The issues of government were always, when it is government, you know it is government and it's going to deliver, it's going to get this job done. And the people being appointed were not being picked from the air. They were being picked out of able hands to go and deal with a crisis and get that crisis fixed. That has been our tradition, and that has been the way government works. And look at all governments worldwide. We don't have this experimenting kind of operations. Pick this, put him there, 3 months, push him elsewhere, and all that. So William Ruto and his operative are one, unpresidential, two, ungovernment. Ungovernment in the sense that he's operating like a kiosk. He's operating like somebody who doesn't know what to do, and yet he wants to keep doing it. And so in the process, he's exposing this country badly, and we are just in danger. That's all I can see. Look at now the Ministry of Internal Security, and look at the way Duale is being picked from one plate to another plate, from another plate to another plate. I mean, isn't there any specialty with Duale? Duale did political science. He was moved from defense to environment, from environment now to health, from health, God knows where. Why should that be the case? And a serious docket like health, why should you be playing games with it? A serious docket like education, why should you be playing games with it? And so William Ruto is unpresidential, and the way he's running the government is ungovernment. He is just, working like those things we used to do as, we call them what? Tea parties. The parties, the village party dances that you arranged. Mmekubaliana mtatoa sijui music system wapi, then you switch it, you go and take it elsewhere. Then the dance will start in this place, then we will finish it elsewhere. Things that don't make sense. This is too bad and too risky for our country, to say the least. And look at the kind of enemies we are making for ourselves. Congo is not at peace with us. Sudan is not at peace with us. Somalia is another thing. And yet we are playing in the middle of them as if we are children. We don't know what we are doing. So William Ruto and his operatives are not encouraging at all. Thank you.
Okay, let us add up the gear by checking out this.
Okay.
Let us check out this and then we'll come in, Lala.
And changes made by President William Ruto, evoking accusations that the head of state would rather recycle than sack those he even described as incompetent. Our political affairs reporter Emmanuel Toh takes a look at the president's recycling habits.
Like a train, President Ruto's administration comes with compartments. The trend has in the last few months been that of throwing those fired not out of the train but to the next compartment. So is Justin Muturi next in line?
I had a problem with the AG who was there. He was fairly incompetent, but I now have a very competent lady.
On Tuesday night, President Ruto berated Justin Muturi, describing him as incompetent during his term as the Attorney General. The put down is likely to raise questions why, despite being fairly incompetent, Muturi was still appointed CS in the Ministry of Public Service. And now that he has been dropped from cabinet, will Muturi follow the beaten path of reappointment after being fired? That trend is set. In the government changes made last week, the president moved former ICT Principal Secretary Edward Kisiangani to his Bureau of Advisors as a senior advisor and member of the President's Council of Economic Advisors. Previously, it was the former ICT and Digital Economy CS Eliud Owalo and the former Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management CS Moses Kuria that were fired as cabinet secretaries and appointed presidential advisors. When he sent his entire cabinet packing on July 11th last year on the pressure from the Gen Z-led protests, President Ruto had this to say.
Why did you dismiss the whole cabinet? And then you hired some back. Let me answer it this way. It was necessary to have a fresh start. Because as I told the people of Kenya, we're going to have a broad-based government and we're going to have a fresh start.
Nearly half of the members of the dismissed cabinet secretaries were reappointed to cabinet. Some, like former health CS Susan Nakhumicha, only waited a little longer, and last week she was nominated as the new Kenyan permanent representative to the UN Habitat in Nairobi. Former cabinet secretary for agriculture and livestock development, Karanja, who is now Kenya's ambassador to Brazil, and former gender CS Aisha Jumwa, was fired and later appointed to the chairperson of the Kenya Roads Board, with the Institution of Engineers of Kenya up in arms over her lack of any background in civil, structural, or transport engineering. Former CS for Youth Affairs, Arts and Sports Ababu Namwamba was appointed to the UN Global Leadership Council of Generation Unlimited, GENU, after his short stint as CS. During the signing of performance contracts at State House Nairobi, President Ruto lamented over the incompetence and cluelessness of some of his CSs and PSs.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong. How do you run a ministry or that department or a parastatal if you have...
President Ruto is saying that if he gets to know more about your ministry than you, meaning you are running a ministry, that you are incompetent. That is the level that say how he gauges incompetent. Let me listen to Lala. Lala, you have to say something.
I'm trying to process what I'm hearing from the president, and you don't dress down your cabinet unless there is something so serious that require that kind of a language, because that's part of the insecurity that the man has. For him to feel better, somebody else will feel worse. And that's exactly what you heard. And look at what he's doing. He's saying one thing but doing the opposite. These guys are just humiliated and then they bring them back. So clearly this is a psychological, crisis that we have in our system. How do you inspire such people to use, what they have, to maximize their talents and gifts in those ministries? Those ministries are simply are just there by name. The power is with this man. He is correct. He knows the details than these ministers, because I think they're out of the loop. I think some of them are incompetent for sure, but that's what he wants. He wants them to appear incompetent so that he can be competent. So, and that takes from Kenyans the idea that we're going to develop just an agenda for development. See, when you talk to your cabinet, who's supposed to be almost your co-equal, even though you are higher, than them, what signals are you sending outside of the country to other nations? In other words, when they go out there to represent Kenya, do these people listen to them? What kind of report do the ambassadors send to their countries about the leadership in the country? So clearly, Kenyans been sold, I think is it Abu Nwasi or somebody like who sold the ashes of his home as he made money from this house that burned down. It's like we are selling those ashes to, in the name of things that will bring us development, and they are not. And when the center's rotten, nothing much can happen. My stand is that the language is using is not just correct, but I think is very damaging to the nation. You see, government is supposed to be coherent. It's supposed to be tight, working together. The cabinet being open enough to disagree and agree, but the best way he is addressing, that this guy is really sad, because I think he meant the language is used is meant for us to hear what's going on with those people. Why is trying to tell us, that they are not competent. So that's very shameful of a leader to do that. So that's my answer, to the question that you raised. Yes, it's disturbing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Lala. Thank you, Lala, for that contribution. I want to ask everyone, please invite somebody to join and to watch with. Don't just watch alone. The number of people who are watching is still low. Please let us up the game so that we can have a good number and have a good contribution. Please, the time is going so fast. Please, the link to join up the studio is on the comment section. Don't wait until the last minute so that you want to join up this studio. Please join as early as now. I want to welcome you all. Continue inviting somebody so that we can have this conversation together. Team comment section, you are doing good work. Please continue inviting, continue sharing your information. I'll be going through your information. But before you do that, I want to listen from Bernard. Bernard.
Oh, thank you. I agree with what Lala is saying. And the pattern of route operation is, I think, create confusion and just create chaos. So who is in his right mind that says Aisha Jumwa to be chairing the roads board? I mean, I think she was better off in the Ministry of Gender. And if she couldn't perform in the Ministry of Gender, you promote her and take her to go and take care of our roads and ensure that our roads are being constructed rightly and the contractors are doing the right job. What's going on in this country is pathetic, to say the least. And if William Ruto is enjoying that, then it proves that he's not a leader, because a competent leader enjoys the peace of mind because he has able hands that are taking care of what is required. Tony here is talking about Uhuru removing, there was, I think it was Cecil Kariuki, who was the CS for health, and then brought in Mutahi Kagwe, and it was a stitch in time. I don't think we would have survived if Cecil Kariuki continued being Minister for Health during COVID-19. the kind of work and the kind of energy that was deployed to secure, control, report every day on the issue of COVID-19 without any, undermining Cecil Kariuki, I think Mutahi Kagwe performed very well, and he was, he came in right in good time. And the combination of Matiang'i, Mutahi Kagwe, and Magoha, the whole country was sure that what's going on is safe. And Uhuru didn't have anything to worry about. He knew these three heads put together, plus the other ones, the country can run even without him. And that is what demonstrates what leadership is. William Ruto wants to appoint a cabinet that needs him, cabinet secretaries that need him, the PSS that need him, so that he becomes the main player. And that is a sure sign that he's not a leader, he's not secure in himself, and he doesn't want the country to be in the hands of another person. When there was a problem with security, Uhuru had to go and look for Nkaiseri, who was an ODM member of parliament, and said, since you are an expert in this area and we are having this bomb here, please come and help. So the contrast between Uhuru and Ruto is, despite the fact that Uhuru had his own faults, but Uhuru looked for competence, looked for professionals, and especially in key areas like education, like healthcare, like security. He didn't want to compromise there. But look at the kind of games we are being treated to. It is sad, and Kenyans just need to take notes and to be able to make up their mind. When they have an opportunity of electing people for leadership, they need to look for somebody who knows what leadership is. What William Ruto is demonstrating is not leadership. It's all a mindset that is geared towards frustrating and causing things to collapse, making systems not to work, making ministries to be just ministries for consuming salaries and, of course, expenses, but doing nothing in terms of fixing what is wrong with the country and what is going wrong with the Kenyan people. And so Wakenya, msipojifunza hapa, basi mtarudia hayo makosa. Nimemalizia hapa.
Okay, you are bringing it to Wakenya wasipojifunza watarudia hayo makosa. I don't know if Kenyans, they can get it better or they can make it understandable so that they cannot go the same ditch, but I think it's been the trending all throughout. But what I want to do, what I want to ask is, how can we do it so that Kenya should not repeat the same mistake? Because the same mistake is the one that brings such like things. Tumesema kwamba incompetence is not like the way other people see, because okay, everyone has his definition of incompetence. Pengine ya rais wenyu ni hiyo. Na ya mtu mwingine pia, everyone understand the incompetence in different manner. But I want to know, what is it all about? So hii kusema unaleta mtu kazi siku mbili, then unasema hako incompetent. Like hii siku mbili zenye mtu anafanya kazi for short term, for short while, na hii for short while tumeona kuna changes mingi sana. There be changes right, left, center. You are still thinking of this, another change. Still thinking of this, another change. Douglas, what can you speak about that?
Okay. First of all, saying that Justin Muturi is incompetent, then replacing him with Ruku. I've listened to Ruku a couple of times on TV, in the daybreak interviews on TV, and sometimes I get frustrated, honestly, by how he thinks about governance. And then today you hear that he's been nominated to cabinet secretary, a position that even he himself is surprised. You could clearly see him being interviewed. He's surprised that he can be chosen for that position. So it's it's clownery. But anyway, it's his government. But the issue was that, what's the point of saying that all these people are incompetent? Number one, he disbanded his cabinet last year after June 25th, in the heat of their uprising, and he sent everyone home. But up until now, I think all those people have been brought back into government somehow, somewhere. You know, I saw the Standard on Monday did a story as their front page cover. I think I'll find that later. And you know, they're just asking, what's the point of firing people for incompetence? Actually, the title was Hire, Fire, and Recycle. A cabinet reshuffle is in the offing. This was on Monday. And going by President William Ruto's appointments, it could be the same game of musical chairs as witnessed in the last ones, when those deemed to have failed are assigned different cabinet portfolios or dumped in other top executive offices, parastatals, and embassies. So we had Kisiangani, who was moved from PS in ICT, moved to advisor. Moses Kuria also moved to advisor. And what Bernard was talking about just now, I think Aisha Jumwa was moved to Rhodes somewhere, parastatals. Nahumicha, who, you know, deeply failed doctors while held CS. Now she has been moved to as an envoy to the UN Habitat. Eliud Owalo, Babuna Mwamba, and all these people. So you wonder, what are these games? Like, are we really?
Let me say
you know, we
something,
really trying?
Douglas.
Yes.
Douglas.
Yes, Lord.
You see, when a leader is insecure, number one, he wants to keep control of the people. And the most dangerous people are people who have been on the inside. So the best way to keep them close, I think Museveni has used the same tactics, is to humiliate them and bring them in. Because if they bring them back, you still have security, you know, information. You still can control them. You can spy on them. They can't speak because they are within the government. Okay, give them something to do. Okay, so what he has done is really a strategy to consolidate power. Okay, because none of them is gone to a place where they cannot speak, and when they speak, he can hear them. Okay, so it is a political survival, you know, strategy which is using to make sure these people fight for him, stay on the inside, and this is exactly how Museveni and others do their thing. So all these people supposed to be fired cannot be let go, because if you let them go, then you have a problem, because they will create their own system which you cannot reach. But right now you can still reach them based on the fact that they are now advisors. Look at the number of advisors. Museveni has so many of them. Okay, advisors. So just call them advisors. And that's how to give them the money, how to control them, and keep them in the little convention, which you have the control of it, and so you assure yourself that next election, next time, intelligence, information, because as an advisor, you gotta talk, you gotta speak to the one who's appointed you, and the appointed authority maybe is himself. So these people are communicating with him. So it is part of a scheme, you know, to remain in power, especially in control of the intelligence information in the country. Yeah, so he's applying what his friends are doing around, you know, around the region, especially Uganda. Back to you.
Okay, you know, thanks, Lala, for that.
Let me say something else. I think this is a thought that I had before, but I want to give just an analogy of how we are running our show. I live in the US, okay? In the US, I'm licensed, you know, and my license only for 2 years. I got to prove that in that 2 years, I've had continued education to be renewed my license will be renewed. Every license is not permanent. If you're a doctor, you're not a permanent doctor. Teacher, not a permanent teacher. You got to stay in school. That's how you remain relevant, new information, you update your data, okay? But in Kenya, when you're a doctor, you're a doctor. Yeah. When you're a teacher, you're a teacher. I don't think maybe these days you guys require a little bit, but my understanding in the past, it has been you graduated, you got a degree, and that's the end of it. No, I think one of the things that we must do is to bring our country to the modern age and to start with our brains, our mind. If we're going to be able to change, be able to catapult this country into the world we want it to be, like Singapore and others, education has to be the key. So when people who are incompetent, are given leadership, then we are not serious about the future. Let me give you an example. An example of my own relative. This guy worked for the for one of our hospital where I come from. Okay, he was a watchman at the gate. Okay, and this guy was, if you're sick, you go to him because he has got access to the storage, to the store where the medicine is kept. He's the one people call to give injections. Okay, and this guy is so ignorant. He had disappeared some place in Lake Victoria, and now when we found him, I'm the one who asked him, about his life in Tanzania. He was simply inside the lake there. The guy told us that he took a ship from Mwanza to Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam, they traveled via a ship. In other words, he didn't know he was lying to us, when he's telling us Mwanza, a town on Lake Victoria, then Dar es Salaam, and he's trying to tell us there's a connection, that is water that connects the two places. You see, that type of ignorance, maybe that's an extreme example.
Lala, please, you have lost your my audio. I don't know if...
When we give leadership to someone who doesn't understand what they're doing, first of all, they are uncomfortable being there, insecure. Again, people who are under them, who are professionals, actually, the fact that the president talked about is bright, PhD, how does he feel when he puts in Aisha Jumu and others to lead professional people who have the training and the skills in those particular dockets? So what is she bringing in? What value does he add to the department or whatever agency that these people have been appointed? Therefore, it's a sad case for us as a nation to actually look our Kenyans in their eyes and tell them, these are the people that are leading us. These are the people that will lead us to something better. It is sad. It's very, very sad. The world require proper brains that will understand the complexities, technologies, and everything else. And they are yet here we're recycling the same people. Ruto, keep, calling them incompetent, which many of them are very incompetent. That's what is comfortable with. Back to you, Shadizo.
Okay, Lala, for that contribution. I hope you're moving on swiftly.
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think
I think moving on swiftly, please invite you, remind somebody to watch with and remind somebody to come and be part and parcel of this as we are rolling up. As we are going so fast, the time so much for us so spent, but I hope we will get to discuss all things that happened today. Okay, let me bring up another controversy a little bit. As we are moving on, I want to hear your opinion, I want to hear your views, and I want to hear your contribution towards this. Let us watch this together and then come to the analysis.
Karua over the broad-based arrangement. The two leaders who are running mates during the 2022 general election met during a funeral in Tharaka Nithi County. Odinga insisting that his party is not in government, while Karua called on him to make the arrangement with President William Ruto legal as a coalition through the registrar of political parties. Here is Emily Chebet with that report.
While attending a funeral for the late Julius Laban, father of Betty Murungi, and father-in-law of Siaya Governor James Orengo, ODM leader Raila Odinga continued with his defense of the broad-based government, saying ODM is still in the opposition.
Uchaguzi uliopita tulikuwa na Martha. Tumezuru naye eneo hii yote kila mahali tukitafuta kura. Lakini baadaye yale yalifanyika mnajua. Si mnajua? Sasa tukasema sasa yale yaliyopita. Nchi mpaka endelee mbele.
Karua, when she addressed the gathering of mourners, spoke of the broad-based government, telling locals that it was an arrangement that defied the constitution.
The framers of our constitution found it fit to decree that Kenya will be a multi-party democracy, that in parliament there will be a minority side and a majority side. But when you merge, as is happening in the broad-based, you deny people the power to question government from a position of strength.
The People's Liberation Party leader asked Raila to come clean on the arrangement and let the opposition in parliament conduct their constitutional right.
While blessing the broad base for those who see it that way, I still request them to do what the law says, to enter in political holy matrimony, which is a coalition registered by the registrar of political parties, to let the vital committees sit with parties absolutely not in government, so that we are able to continue having a debate that is healthy for this country.
Bunge yenyewe si ati ya serikali na upinzani. Iko majority and minority. But all of them are oversighting the executive. So we have not gone into executive. Sisi tumesema tuko katika bunge, tuko upinzani. Tuko upinzani, we are oversighting the executive. The whole parliament is oversighting the executive.
Karua saying she had decided to pick the side of Kenyans and will stand firm against the Kenya Kwanza administration.
I firmly remain with the people. And today we must continue questioning government, questioning its policies. We must continue saying no to abductions, saying no to executions, saying no to grand theft of public lands when basic services are suffering.
Even some of us who are in government, we have condemned abductions. We are going to condemn corruption and all those things. Let us condemn all those things and let us support everything, but let us not return this country to tribal divisions. Wakati nikiona Martha Karua akiwa pamoja na wale viongozi wanaendesha ukabila Kenya hii, nasema kweli every sinner has a future.
The leaders were in Chogoria area in Mara constituency, Tharaka Nithi County, for the burial. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
They can step into it.
Well, that's how things are on the ground. That's how serious things running. Kumechemuka. Kumechemuka. Let me hear from Bernard.
All right. Interesting piece of exchanges there. I still stand with Baba in his explanation. The oversighting of the executive is both the role of the majority and the minority in parliament. The Mother Karua's explanation is still from the hangovers of the old constitution, where we had the government side in parliament and the opposition side in parliament, which was dropped in the 2010 constitution. In the 2010 constitution, every member of parliament, all of them, the 296, all of them are supposed to oversight the executive, hold it to account. When committees are being wherever constituted and all that, I don't think the approach should be government parties and non-government parties. It should be a matter of everyone taking responsibility. Broad-based administration, of course, is not envisioned within the framework of the constitution. But as it is now, it's to me, my understanding is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. A means to an end in the sense that it is meant to address whatever crisis that is that we are having at present, and then of course from there things should be set in order, and the aspect of the broad-based government, I don't think is to the extent that ODM members are in the cabinet and other political parties.
Thank you, Bernard, for that.
Sorry, you had a surge.
Okay, go on.
You can get me?
Yes, go on.
Yes, the broad-based administration is faulty in the sense that the William Ruto administration is multiplying the executive, but the reasons for that multiplying of the executive and the fruits of that particular multiplying of the executive is not translating into bettering the livelihood of Kenyans. In the if the pursuit of William Ruto broadening his administration is not to take care of the welfare of Kenyans, then it is an abuse altogether to that aspect of so-called broad-based administration, and his administration is not addressing what is bedeviling the Kenyan people. Can people from other political parties serve in cabinet? That goes without saying. I mean, there is nothing unconstitutional about it. As long as those people have resigned from leadership of those political parties and are what? Now Kenyan civilians and are appointed into that particular cabinet. So we should not say that because these people were in ODM, then they are ODM. ODM must always be outside government, because there are people who think that ODM has no business in, or rather having been in ODM, you have no business or you have no part in contributing towards the running of the affairs of the country. I think speaking for the, let's say, Oparanya, Joho, and who else, Wandai and Mbadi, the way they left the ODM to go and serve in cabinet was constitutional. They resigned from their political party responsibility as required by the law. They were vetted by the parliament as required by the law and assumed as cabinet secretaries of the executive, not as representatives of the ODM party in the cabinet. And so what we are being treated to here is a mixture of lies as well as some truths, so that somebody can push a particular narrative. If the broad-based government indeed is unconstitutional, Mother Karua is a senior lawyer. Mother Karua was on the lead people who led, you remember the BBI? And the fight for the BBI to collapse in court. Mother Karua was among the lawyers that led that. If broad-based government as constituted right now is absolutely unconstitutional and is in violation of the law, why hasn't Mother Karua and team taken that matter to court and sought redress? Why should it be spoken over through funerals? And then there is this aspect that we are the ones with the people and you are with the government. I mean, the government is made of people. So this selling yourself to the people in the name that you are the one with the people know who are with them. And the people are in all manner of sectors. As much as we may think, we may want to believe that nobody supports Ruto. Ruto still has got people who support him. And those people are they not people for you to say that you are with the people and they are with Ruto? And so I think we shouldn't be economical with the truth. Let's just state facts for what they are and be able to stand by the same, especially when we are teachers, when we are lawyers, when we are custodians of the law. Let's present that law accurately. And if there's any violation, do like what Okio Mtata is doing. Take the matter to court. Let it be wherever, ruled over in the place. But this demonizing of everything in the name of this unconstitutional, when you can address that matter through the court of law and prove yourself right or wrong, I think we are only doing politics, not seeking the welfare of this country or caring about how this country can be salvaged from where it is to where it ought to go. And so any pretext that you want a really opposition in parliament, it is not in the constitution. So nobody should be pushing for the same. The minority and the majority, I repeat again, all of them are supposed to oversight the executive. The executive should be kept on toes by members of parliament, all of them, both in UDA, in ODM, in Ford Kenya, in ANC, in Jubilee, and otherwise. Any person saying that you can only oversight the executive when you are in ODM or you're not in ODM, that is just politics. And that's all I can see in some of those rhetorics placed by Mother Karua and of course her fellow group. As like the way Moses Kuria put it. I don't want to repeat it. Let it be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard, for that contribution. Please invite somebody to join and invite somebody to be part and parcel of this. Okay, before I bring in Lala, I also see Jack into the inside the building. I want to remind you, like, it is now coming to the end of the month. Okay, it's 10 months already, then another month is coming also. I will ask you, please, if you are there and you feel like you can support Sound Country Talk, please, you are free. You can use the details on the screen. If you are in Kenya, you can use the till number, which is 516575. And if you are abroad, or even if you are Kenya and you decide to use the M-Pesa number, it is +254 718 454 585. Please, the name is Bernard Makoha, and it will be good so that it can keep some kind of talk going on and on and on. It will be great. Please, I urge you, please, let us do something, and it will be good, and it will be great as we are moving on swiftly. I see Jakendo be inside the building. I say and Silala also be nice inside the house. People in the comment section, please, I really appreciate your contribution towards the comment section. Please continue inviting somebody to be part and parcel of this. Lala, I want also to hear from you. What do you see about that controversy between Raila, Odinga, and Karua?
I think everyone is fighting for their position, which is healthy. Let them raise the issues. But I think let us not use each other's arguments to basically instill or misinterpret what the other person, because wananchi wanasikia, what we are saying, and that is number one, what do we understand of the government? Okay, government in our system. How does government work? Okay, I think lawyers should be watufundishe because I think Kenyans do a lot of misinterpretation and nobody corrects us. So people come up with their own theories, and we know some of those theories are wrong. But for example, when we talk about opposition and government, what are we saying? When you talk about minority and majority, what are we saying? What system do we have? It seems to me that even people who know the truth will not share with us the truth, that we only have minority and majority. In other words, the government is one. Administration may be, and the national government may be under Ruto, but it is one because they are governors who are in different parties. Now, if we're going to create a system for parties, this is the government, then what we do, the rest of the people. So in our system, it is minority and majority, which means that at different point or times, if you disagree strongly about something, you can cross and vote on the other side. And again, committees that are formed, they are part of the government, what government is. And I think the idea is for us to work together. But when politicians come in there, when we start talking, it's as if unatuambia toka kwa serikali. Basi kama unatoka, if government is what you think it is, the way they explain it, Why would you even have, the services? Why do you have to pay taxes? Also refuse to pay tax. You still pay tax. It means that it's your money, you're part of it. We are all supposed to be working together for it. If we disagree, with something, ni lazima tufanye nini? Tuambie maoni yetu kwamba sisi hatutaki hivi, hii ni uongo. If it means striking, you strike. You don't do a demonstration based on whether the policies that are being followed zinafanya kazi, ama kuna ubaguzi fulani, ama kuna shida fulani, corruption and all that. Zote pamoja, we work together as a team. And that's why I think when people are demonstrating, and some people say unatuharibia kazi, it's like creating that division between people, which is actually terrible for democracy, because that means that at any given time there are two very strong positions that cannot be reconciled, because wengine wanasikia sisi ndio kwa serikali, ni hamko kwa serikali, which means you bring your tithes, bring your taxes, let's eat it, but you get nothing. Okay, and that's the reason why a lot of times some places didn't have any development, because according to these thinkers, huko hawakutupigia kura. They pay taxes, but their counties or their land or their spaces are not developed. And that's what we are running away from. I think this is the constitution which allow all of us to be part of the government, the government of the day. We all can speak, we can bring people together and work as a team. So I think I just want to make that comment. No better and exhaustively explained it. On the other hand, I think what Martha Karua meant, of course, is cooperating with a system that is corrupt. Okay, I think that was trying to tell Baba. I think that would be a better argument, and Baba can also explain that this my job here is to maintain a government, but at the same time change things. These are the things that we are changing. And when he talks of expert, it means experts are coming in to correct some things. And this is where the Wananchi can also help those experts. So at the end of the day, it's Kenyans working together to have a system that they can be proud of and depend on for the future of their children. Asante, I think the Kindube iko hapo, lakini pengine I can't wait to hear from him because he's a man of wisdom. Asanteni.
Thank you, Lala, for that contribution too. Let me hear from Jakindube. Jakindube, hi.
Sijambo. Nawasalimia wote, Bernard, Lala, nawasalimia wote kabisa. Nimeshukuru kabisa kuwa na ninyi tena. Sasa mimi nataka kusema kwamba kuna wakati mwingine mimi maoni yangu ni kwamba sisi wa Kenya hatujui. Nimeshasema kwamba tukiiga vitu za kukopi huwa hatuzijui namna kuzitumia kabisa, kwa sababu vile ninavyoona tunavyofanya vitu, hatufanyi kulingana na sheria, na tufanyi niseme tu kwa mfano, mimi nilikuweko wakati tulikuwa na one party state. Kulikuwaga na Orengo James, kulikuwa na Shifula wa Shifula, kulikuwa na Anyona, kulikuwa na Abuya, kulikuwa na kuna jamaa walikuwa wanaitwa six sisters, beard sisters. Na wakati huo ilikuwa ni one party state, lakini bado hao wanachama wote walikuwa wanachama wa KANU walikuwa wanakosoa serikali. Kitu serikali ilifanya vibaya, nasema system ya Moi ilikuwa vibaya, ni kwamba unapoanza kunyanyasa wenzako ndio inakuwa na hiyo resentment. Lakini vile nilikuwa naona ilikuwa ni one party state, lakini kulikuwa na majadiliano, kulikuwa na upingamizi wa mambo fulani, zilikuwa zifanyiki tu. Watu 6 walikuwa wanaweza kupinga kina Shikuku, walikuwa wanaweza kupinga vitu, kusema mpaka kitu ifanyike vizuri. Kama tungefuata hiyo mtindo bila kunyanyasa watu, kuambia tapana au kufunga wengine, hatungekuwa hata na hizi multiparty. Tungekuwa na system yetu sisi wenyewe, kwa sababu hiyo system kulikuwa na sehemu ya kuzungumza. Wakati walianza kufanya makosa ni wakati walianza kushika wenzao, kufanya nini, kunyanyasa au kuua. Hiyo ndio makosa. Lakini kama tungeacha ile tu system yetu wakati ule ya kwamba unaweza kupinga, unaweza kukosoa, ilikuwa ni vizuri. Ingekuwa vizuri, tungekuwa na kwa sababu angalieni, China ni party moja, lakini si kwamba wananyanyaswa. Hakuna demokrasia, ati hii demokrasia ya Western ndio nzuri. No, hata hii demokrasia ya Western inanyanyasa watu. Inavunja hata nani nyingi sana. Inanyanyasa. Inatakikana kitu ambacho kama ni demokrasia ni kwamba watu wawe huru wa kusema. Utakuta hata hizi vyama watu hawatashughulika na vyama. Kama watu wana uhuru wa kusema na uhuru wa kukosoa, hiyo ndio kitu moja inaweza kana. Lakini hizi vyama, ukiangalia hizi vyama, wakati tulifanya uchaguzi, Azimio ndio ilikuwa na watu wengi. Hawa watu walifanya namna gani? Hawa watu wa Kenya hawajui maana hata hizi vyama, hawajui kwamba tuko upande fulani na tuko upande fulani. Sasa wanataka kulaumu mtu mmoja tu, kumlaumu Raila. Raila ndiye analaumiwa, na yet hawa watu wenyewe ndio wanapromoka. Sasa hii wanalaumu Raila, wanasahau kwamba wale watu walikuwa wanachama wa Azimio, walikimbia, walitoroka na walikuwa na vyama. Mbona hawa walaumiwi? Sasa hii mimi sikubaliani kabisa na Martha Karua, sikubaliani naye, kwa sababu kinachonifanya nisikubaliane na yeye ni kwamba bado yuko katika hiyo serikali, anaunga mkono hiyo serikali, kwa sababu huwezi kusema sasa kwamba upande wa Gachagua sasa ni nzuri kuliko upande wa Ruto. Hawa wote ni wanafiki wote, kwa sababu Ruto na Gachagua ni same. Na sasa hii unaona kina Martha Karua, akina Kalonzo wanajiunga na nani na Gachagua. Na Gachagua bado hata kesi yake bado ana kesi. Sasa hii anataka arudishwe awe makamu wa rais. So wapi tofauti iko wapi? Sioni tofauti, kwa sababu kama wangekuwa watu kweli wanasema haki, hata Gachagua hafai kuzungumza na wao. Hawafai kuwa kama kweli wanasema hawafai hata kuzungumza na Gachagua, kwa sababu Gachagua angeresign. Kama angeresign kusema sasa ndiye atuambie haya mambo ambayo anasema sasa hivi, hapo mimi ningekubali kwamba hiyo ni kweli. Lakini unasukumwa nje, hutaki kutoka, unasukumwa mpaka unajifanya we mgonjwa kwa sababu hutaki kutoka. Sasa kama umesukumwa nje, alafu sasa hiyo ndio unasema sasa hii serikali ni mbaya. Hapana, hawa ni wanafiki. Mimi naweza kusema watu wa namna hiyo ni watu wanafiki, watu ambao hawana msimamo, watu ambao hawajui. Hata sasa tukisema demokrasia si kitu tu unachukua. Demokrasia hujengwa, na saa zingine demokrasia inaonekana kama inarudi nyuma. Demokrasia ni kitu unajenga polepole, si kitu inakuja haraka tu. Huyu Raila ambaye wanamlaumu sahihi, Raila alikataza nani ku demonstrate? Hakuna siku Raila ameenda akasema msidemonstrate, hakuna. Wakati Raila akiamua kufanya kitu, anafanya, angoje mtu, anafanya akiangalia maslahi ya nchi. Anafanya akiangalia maslahi ya nchi. Kitu ambacho nasema ni kwamba wananchi wa Kenya huwa hatumsaidii Raila. Hatumsaidii. Kwa sababu hata ODM sahihi ukiwaangalia, Raila alisema tumepatia serikali watu wa kumsaidia. Lakini sasa wajumbe wa ODM ni kama sasa ni kama wao ndio UDA. Hawajui kuwapatia watu wa kuwasaidia. Sio kwamba muende huko watu wanasema sisi tuko kwa serikali sijui. Hizo vitu ni kwa sababu hatujui maana ya demokrasia hii ambayo wanasema. Mimi nasema, ingawaje mimi sijasoma kama hao, lakini mimi naona hawajui. Kwa sababu demokrasia inatakikana, si kwamba eti nikisema kwamba ninashiriki au kwamba tumewapatia watu fulani kufanya kazi kwa serikali, inakuwa sasa tumeingia kwa serikali. Hapana. Na hata ukiwa huko, sisi wote sahi wana Kenya, sisi tuko chini ya serikali ya UDA. Hakuna mtu hayuko, kwa sababu ukiwa kama serikali ishachaguliwa, watu wote wa Kenya wote wana haki kwa hiyo serikali. So hakuna watu wengine utawaambia sasa ninyi sio serikali. Hii watu wanamlaumu Raila sijui nini. Raila hayuko kwa serikali. Aliulizwa asaidie. Sasa kama ni kushauri mtu ama kusaidia kwa kufanya vitu fulani, ni nchi yake, ana haki ya kufanya hivyo. Ana haki ya kufanya hivyo. Na hiyo ndio uzalendo, kuangalia nchi. Kama Raila angekuwa kama wanavyotaka, nchi yetu ingekuwa imesambaratika. Kama wanataka hivyo, ingekuwa imesambaratika kabisa. Watu saa zingine hatujui, saa zingine tunaangaliaga mambo fulani kwa upesi bila kujua hii ina uzito wa namna gani. Jambo hii ina uzito wa namna gani. Mnaweza kutoa president, angalieni nchi zizi ambazo zimetoa president ama zimeua president, ziko na nini? Ziko namna gani? Mtu anionyeshe moja ambaye imevuruga kama iko stable. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Lazima tujue, hata kama tunafanya upingamizi, hata kama mimi simpendi Ruto kusema kweli, lakini sitaki vurugu. Simpendi, lakini sipendi hiyo serikali yake, lakini sitaki vurugu. Lazima tujue kwamba kuna vitu fulani tukifanya kwa vurugu wote tutaumia na nchi yetu itaumia zaidi. So, ni lazima tuwe na utaratibu wa kufanya vitu. Tufuate hiyo katiba. Kwa sababu tulisema katiba, tunachaguana, tunafanya nini? Hatuwezi tena katika hii mambo tuseme katikati hapa tuvuruge serikali au tufanya. Tukitaka kutoa serikali tunatoa kwa kihaki. Tunaweza kutoa kwa kugoma. Hao watu wako wapi? Mbona hawagomi watoe serikali? Hawagomi. Wanataka tu kulaumu Raila. Wanamlaumu Raila. Raila amekataza nani ku demonstrate? Hajakataza mtu. Wakati yeye alikuwa ana demonstrate, anaenda wanampiga risasi, amefungwa. Hajarudi kuja kucomplain kwa mtu eti mliniacha nikafanya. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hawa ambao sahihi wanamlaumu Raila ndio walikuwa wanasema wanataka kuchagua nini? Kijana. Hawa vijana walikuwa wanasema wanataka kuchagua kijana. Yeye ni mzee. Sasa mshachagua kijana na yeye amekubali, sawa. Unamlaumu ya nini? Mimi sioni, na hata mimi hapa sikubaliani na Martha Karua. Ndio ni haki yake, lakini sikubaliane na yeye kwa sababu yule ambao wanashiriki naye ni the same na hii serikali. Ni the same tu. kwanza mbaguzi, kwa sababu huwezi kuambia watu fulani eti hawana share. Ukishachaguliwa kama kiongozi, watu wote mipaka, unalinda mipaka zote za Kenya. Kwa hiyo katika hiyo mipaka yote ya Kenya, hawa wana Kenya wote wako na share. Hakuna mmoja ambaye ako na share nyingi kuliko mwingine. Tuna share wote kwa sababu kodi tunatoa wote. Kodi inatolewa popote, hata ukienda wapi sehemu gani ya Kenya, kila mtu anatoa kodi. So huwezi kusema sina share, kwa sababu share yangu ni kodi yangu. So watu kama hao ni watu wapotovu, wanatupoteza. Na kama unashirikiana na watu wapotovu, huwezi kuniambia kwamba hiyo sasa ni nzuri kuliko vile ilivyo. Mimi ningeliomba tu kwamba wale wameenda kusaidia serikali kufanya kazi, wanachama wale viongozi wa chama wa ODM waache kujifanya kama wao sasa ndio wana UDA. Ni kama wanahama kwa chama chao wanaenda kwa UDA. Hiyo na washaambiwa lazima wawe na identity. Identity yako ni kwamba kama nani yule wakati wa Uhuru, si kuna yule alikuwa anafanya kazi kwa upande wa ulinzi, si alitolewa, waliomba ODM na ikawapatia. So hii mambo ni namna gani? Martha Karua, Uhuru na Ruto walikuwa wameshitakiwa wakati ule, walikuwa wahalifu. Alisupport Uhuru. Why wakati huo alikuwa na support Uhuru? Pana, lazima tuwe watu ambao wanasema ukweli. Asanteni.
Thank you, Jakindube. Before I bring in Bernard, Jakindube, umesema tunataka tusaidie Raila. How can we help Raila? Tunasema nikaa sasa tumsaidie.
Nasema hatumsaidii Raila kwa sababu wakati Raila anataka kuwa rais, au Raila anatuambia tufanye kitu fulani, hatutaki. Tunataka yeye tu ndiye aende afanye pale yeye peke yake, na hii hawezi kufanya yeye peke yake. Kama Wakenya kweli, wakati kulikuwa na ile maandamano, Raila alikuwa anafanya maandamano, kwani Wakenya walikuwa hawaoni hizi shida? Sisi zilikuweko hizi shida ambazo sasa wanasema they were there, na ndio alikuwa anapigania gharama za maisha, everything. Wangapi walitoka kwenda kumsaidia? Hakuna. Wachache sana ambao walienda, bado wanamuunga mkono. Na saa hii wakati hawa watu wanajiita Gen Z walitoka, Raila aliwasimamisha kusema sasa msiende. Raila, mimi nakumbuka Raila alisema inafaa sisi kama wana Kenya tukae chini, tushajua kuna makosa, tukae chini tuwe na zile vitu tunataka ifanyike. Hamwezi kuwa mnafanya tu vitu kivurugu, lazima kuwe na mikakati, mipango. Hiyo ndio najua. Asante sana.
Bernard.
Yes. Thank you. Nilikuwa tunataka kuongezea kwa Jakindube amesema vizuri. Kwamba KANU kulikuwa na time ambayo nchi ilikuwa na chama kimoja. Na watu wote walikuwa wanaenda kwa bunge kwa tiketi moja ya KANU. Lakini wakiwa bungeni, kama kulikuwa na kupitishwa jambo lolote ambalo lingefinyilia Wakenya, wale ambao walikuwa wakupinga walisimama na kupinga, kina Shikuku na hayo yote. Na mfano mzuri ni Martha Karua. Martha Karua kuna time moja alikuwa kwa hiyo constituency yake ilikuwa inaitwa Kishuki. Alafu akazuiwa kufanya nini? Address the people. Martha Karua, she is known as Iron Lady kwa kutembea na kuacha Moi akatoka while she was still in KANU. Okay, and she was she's still in KANU, and she's a member of parliament. So hii story ya kusema eti mpaka watu wakuwe kusijui kwa minority hapo kwa majority ndio wapinge serikali ama wakosoe serikali, it's an excuse. Ndio nilikuwa nasema Martha Karua anajua ukweli na kile anachosema sio ukweli. Anasema tu yale mambo ambayo yaonekane kana kwamba anasema yale ambayo yanafaa, lakini anajua in the inside of her heart what she's saying is not accurate. Okay, and then on the aspect of Gachagua, kama Raila ni msaliti kwa kwenda kusaidia Ruto, Martha Karua si amepokea kondoo sijui mbuzi ngapi kutoka kwa Gachagua wakifanya reconciliation? Is it last month, the other month? Okay, juzi tu. So which is which? Wewe ukifanya na Gachagua wewe sio msaliti, lakini huyu akienda kusaidia Ruto anakuwa msaliti. So these standards zinawekwa na nani? So ni kweli kama vile Jakidube anasema ni unafiki mwingi na kujifanya, alafu wewe unataka kujifanya mtetezi wa watu ili hali wewe unakula na nani? Na Gachagua ambaye alikuwa anaongoza nini? Maangamizi ya hao watu. So what we are lacking in our political leaders is sincerity, openness and integrity. Kucheza na akili za watu na kucheza na maneno badala ya kusimamia kitu ambacho kinaeleweka. Kama Martha Karua anaona kwamba kile ambacho kinaendelea hakiambatani na sheria, yeye ni mwanasheria, apeleke mambo kotini. Lakini kwenda kwa matanga kwanza kusema hiki na hiki sio kulingana na sheria, mara hiki na hiki ni hakuna opposition kwa parliament. Ni kweli hakuna opposition kwa parliament. The whole parliament is an opposition according to the 2010 constitution, na anajua hivyo. Aelezee watu vile mambo yalivyo, sio kusema mambo ili yaonekane yeye ndio ako na anatetea watu na hao wengine wanasaliti watu. I think our selfish interest of weighing on us in our judgment and in our pursuit of what we need to do. So tukubali kwamba kama tumekosea, kama tumepata, lakini maneno ya kuzingizia na kudanganya na kujifanya tuachane nayo ili tukue viongozi halisi. Huwezi kuwa unatafuta uongozi kwa uongo na kubadilisha sheria ama misinform people about the law. When you are the custodian of law, you are a senior lawyer, you are supposed to be depended on in the interpretation of the law, and you are the one subverting that same law because it is not serving your narrative if it is stipulated the way it is. To me, that is a huge letdown coming from Martha Karua. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. I hope we are going on swiftly and moving on well. I would like that we will begin to sum up and everybody give his complex and give his proposal and opinions also towards the matters and what do you feel, or what is it all about? Do you feel like is it good for everything that is happening in Kenya right now, or is it bad, or is there somewhere where there is something that is not adding up? Is it the truth? Okay, I want to check out this before we begin summing up, and then we'll give when somebody begins up, give a general sum up for his contribution, because the time is so much gone. But we'll have great time together here. Let us watch out this first.
William Ruto is now sacked CS Justin Muturi. Deep and further, when the head of state described his former CS as an incompetent public servant. Dr. Ruto says Muturi's incompetence as Attorney General had delayed the creation of a Muslim endowment fund. And as Brenda Wanga tells us in the following report, Muturi fired back at his former boss, clarifying that the Waqf Act did not have provisions for an endowment fund.
I had a problem with the AG who was there. He was fairly incompetent, but I now have a very competent lady.
President William Ruto, speaking at a Muslim faithful's iftar dinner at State House, berated Justin Muturi as an attorney general, blaming him for the delay in setting the Muslim Endowment Fund, WACF, that had been proposed by Muslim leaders. Muturi's response came first through his X page. He points out that the WACF Act of 2022 has no provision for a Muslim endowment fund. Muturi further explains that a WACF is a religious, charitable, or benevolent endowment by a person who professes Muslim faith and is managed by the WACF Commission. The WACF Act came into force in March of 2022, but is yet to become operational. Muturi maintains that he followed the proper procedure in his attempt to operationalize that act through a series of events. In July 2023, through a Gazette notice, Muturi appointed the WACF Commissioner's Selection Panel and subsequently wrote to the National Treasury and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, seeking a budget for the panel. 9 months later, in April 2024, the selection panel held its first meeting and was sworn into office a month later. On the 11th of June, Muturi advertised for candidates for the position of members of the WACF Commission. The process of shortlisting the candidates commenced after the deadline of submitting applications.
Today, decided to dismiss with immediate effect all the cabinet secretaries and attorney general of the Republic of Kenya, of the Cabinet of Kenya.
Muturi says the sacking of the cabinet halted this process, which he claims has not moved since he left that docket. The WACF tiff between the president and his now former CS, however, is a continuation of the divergent paths that the head of state and his subordinate have been working for the past few months. The fallout between Ruto and Muturi was born of the abductions and forced disappearances that followed the anti-government protest last year. Muturi's son was one of those abducted by what he termed as state operatives.
I'm calling upon you now to order an end to these abductions, which you promised, killings, extrajudicial killings, and an open inquiry to examine, inquire into how these things have been happening. We cannot make it normal.
Muturi has openly called out the president on what he termed as government's complicity in the abductions that have often ended in deaths and maiming of young Kenyans.
Resignation for me would be an act of cowardice. Yeah. I would be, people wonder, what kind of person is this one who sees a problem, doesn't speak about it, and merely walks away? It will look very cowardly on my part.
Wednesday's government reorganization has effectively taken that option away from him as he becomes the latest victim of the anti-establishment purge by the executive. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
That's what it is. I can call it, it is what it is. Let me begin listening from Lala. Lala.
Yes, Diesel. What
We are speaking about that and also summing up. So we're starting from you.
Okay, I think, what topic is that?
You didn't hear the Muturi speech. They say that the conflict between Muturi and Mr. President came out during the adoption process, where his kid was among the
much earlier about that, because I think from day one, Muturi has never been comfortable there. For some reason, maybe I don't know the detail, but I don't think he had an environment to perform. Either maybe his own issues, but the system probably may not have created room for him. So to me, definitely the son's abduction has something to do with it too, to kind of make it worse. But I think from day one, when riot, when demonstration, people are getting killed, Muturi was never heard. He was like silent. Yeah, it's as if, and I heard them criticizing him on some issues in parliament. I mean, the government, that he did not give certain opinion. So in my mind, I think Muturi was not really an attorney general. I don't know what he did. I can't remember him for anything. But I also blame the system that he was working under. So firing him, that's why the question, I didn't know how to answer it. When the question, which is, was the firing good or bad? Because it's kind of hard, it's vague for me, because either way, I didn't see his usefulness there. So whether fired, I don't know, whether that was the best thing to do. Whoever's coming in, I don't know what they're going to do there either. I don't know what legal, supposed to be chief legal advisor. When somebody's illegally in office like Ruto, when he's doing wrong things. So what's really the job of Attorney General? To make illegal things legal? I mean, it makes work very difficult, because what do you need, when we know very well that Attorney General is not for us, but for Ruto. Okay, so when you say he's incompetent, could it be because he was criticizing Ruto? I mean, what he did. And that's why leadership is really important. We need somebody with the clear vision, but above all with integrity. Okay, people can believe him. Okay, right now it's very hard for me even to answer that question. I didn't know how to answer it. Back to you, Shadizo.
Thank you, Lala, for that. Let me listen to Kentobe.
Mimi katika hiyo mambo ya Muturi, mimi nasema watu kama kina Muturi ni watu ambao hana msimamo, na si kwamba haya mambo ambayo anasema unaweza kuwa na shaka nazo, kwa sababu kama mtu ukubaliani na kitu fulani na uko kwa serikali, una resign. Kitu muhimu ni kuresign, kusema mimi siwezi kushiriki kuendelea kufanya kazi chini ya serikali ambayo inafanya hii na hii na hii. Huwezi kusema ati sasa nikiresign nitaonekana mimi ni hafifu. Huwezi kusema hivyo. Ukiresign ndio unaonekana mtu mwenye nguvu, kwa sababu hivyo ndivyo. Huwezi kufanya kitu ambayo ukubaliani nayo. Kama angekubaliana na hiyo serikali, inatakiwa resign. Sio ngoja ukifukuzwa ndio unaanza kusema serikali sijui imefanya nini, au unaanza kupiga mambo ambayo mmechukua kama cabinet, alafu unaanza kusema. Kuna vitu vingine, hata kama ni hiyo nani, wange sort hiyo out kwa baraza la mawaziri. Angesema hiyo kwa baraza ya mawaziri, lakini sasa hazungumzi kwa baraza ya mawaziri, anakwenda anazungumza na watu wa gazeti. Kama ukizungumza na watu wa gazeti, natakiwa uresign, uzungumze hiyo na kuweka na kusema resignation yako, ndio unakuja kuambia umeresign. Lakini vile wanavyofanya hawa watu ni wanafiki kabisa. Mimi nasema hiyo ndio maoni yangu, ni wanafiki, hawasemi ukweli.
Asante. Naona nimepoteza Bernard, lakini nashukuru kwa wote ambao mmekuwepo, na nashukuru kwa maoni yenu, na ningependa tu kuwapa nafasi nyingine moja. Tuanzie kwa Jakendube. Jakendube, tunapomaliza kipindi unaweza ambia Wakenya nini?
Mimi nataka kuambia Wakenya tuwe watu wa kweli na tuwe wazalendo wa haki, na tuache ubaguzi, tuache kubaguana. Kuna clip moja nilimtumia Bernard, sijui kama ameonyesha. Nilimtumia vile mzungu anasema vile tunajibagua, tunampenda mzungu, anapata nafasi tunampatia nafasi ya kufanya vitu ambavyo sisi hizo vitu inafaa tufanye sisi, lakini tunampatia kwa sababu yeye ni mzungu. Hata ana hata stakabadhi, ana qualification, lakini anapewa kwa sababu yeye ni mzungu. Tunampatia sisi, tunajibagua sisi wenyewe. Kwa hiyo nataka kuambia Wakenya, tuacheni kujibagua, tuache kubaguana, tufanye kazi kwa bidii, tuwe wazalendo wa haki. Tukiwa wazalendo wa haki, vitu zitafanyika vizuri. Lakini kama tuna yumba tunaenda na ukabila, hii ukabila itatusaidia. Hii ukabila ndio imetuzamisha, ndio imetufikisha mahali tuko hapa. Hata hii ukabila ndio wakati huo tulikuwa na chama kimoja, party KANU, na watu walikuwa wanapinga vitu, wabunge walikuwa wanajua kwamba kama kitu hawakubaliani nayo inafinya wananchi, wanapinga. Sasa hii ambayo watu ati opposition na wasemi kitu, hii ni kitu ambacho ni kwamba Wakenya tuache, tuangalie, tuwe wazalendo, tuangalie kwamba hata kama ni ndugu yako, hata kama ni ndugu yako, mmetoka tumbo moja, kama anafanya kitu kibaya, mwambie ndugu yangu, hii ni kitu kibaya, hii haikafanyika, hii haitusaidii. Hivyo ndivyo tutaongoza nchi yetu vizuri. Lakini kuangalia sijui kabila langu, sijui mtu wangu, hiyo ni upuzi, haitupeleki popote. Asante sana.
Asante. Wacha nisikize Lala. Maneno ambayo unaweza waambia Wakenya kwa show leo.
Wakenya wenzangu, mimi naimiza tu haya maneno Kindube amenena ya kazi ya kujenga nchi inahitaji kila mtu, lakini lazima ifanywe kwa ukweli kabisa, truthfulness, ukweli na bidii. Bidii ni kila sekta, kila pahali lazima kuwe mtu na bidii. Ukienda huku Kikomba unaona watu wanafanya kazi hapo kweli, wana sweat kabisa. Lakini kuna class ya wasomi, I think waite wasomi, hatufanyi chochote, tunakuja tuna degrees, alafu tunaweka hizo kwa walls, and then we start now looking for money. We don't add any value at all. Then nilikuwa naeleza earlier, hapa Marekani, kila shule, kila university ina hiyo department ya kusaidia watu wakiwa na shahada. Lazima kama kuna license, lazima hiyo license lazima renew. License ni kila kitu, iko na license. Hata kufagia nyumba hivi lazima uwe na ninio sanitation, hizo ma license. And you need that education kila wakati, kila shule. Mimi nimesoma na wazee kabisa, wengine lakini wanasoma tu kwa sababu wanataka kufanya nini? Contribute to new information. Okay, so siku hizi hata shule zinaanza hata kufundisha bure. Nimeona shule yangu Harvard wameanza kutoa free education, so that we keep new information in the front. Manake unaona watu wanasikia wana degrees, lakini vile wana reason ni kama tu hawakwenda shule. Manake you lose it, if you don't use something you lose it, na wengi wetu we lost it. So nchi yetu tunataka kweli iendelee mbele, hiyo uchuki na ukabila lazima tupigane kabisa, iondoke kabisa kichwani. Manake hatusaidii kabisa, and not just in Kenya, lakini hata region yenyewe. Manake rich Congo, rich Uganda, rich Tanzania and all that are also trading partners. That's how we build up the whole area, the whole region. So let's do our part as Kenya, kama wa Kenya. Na ukweli itatuweka huru kabisa, itaweka huru. Lakini tukiona mkubwa wetu ni mtu ambaye angekuwa pale, inaona tumetekwa nyara kabisa. Till we clean up hiyo chafu ambayo inatuua kama kama Wakenya. Asanteni sana Douglas, Shedizo na Jakindu Bay na huko nyuma wote ambao leo, asanteni sana. I think hapo nitamaliza hapo, ndugu yangu chukua.
Thank you, Lala. Thank you, Lala, for that submission. Indeed, it's great. I want to just say hi, people in the comment section as we're winding up. I see Tun Muhammad, Eric, thank you. I see Seth, thank you. Eric, thank you. I see Praise Joy, thank you. Also, I see hey, Absalom, thank you, Absalom. I see Abel, thank you, and other people also in the comment section. Team comment section, nawapenda wote, tumekuwa na amazing moment. Ask you if the first time coming in that follow the channel, please subscribe and also like and share the video so that everyone can get to watch it. Let us meet tomorrow, the same place, the same hour, the same minute, at the same time. And may God bless you all.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Watu wa Mungu, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kipindi cha mahubiri kimerudi tena kwa kishindo kwenye Sound Candy Talk. Tunakufundisha, kukuelimisha na kukutia moyo kwenye Daily Bite. Mafundisho kamili ya Biblia kila siku kwenye runinga uipenda ya Sound Candy Talk.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Welcome to Sound Candid Talk News Special Edition. Be sure to subscribe, share the video widely, and give it a thumbs up. God bless you. This is the story of Frank Okoth, a 19-year-old Kenyan whose life is nothing short of a miracle and an inspiration. A young man who, against all odds, survived 6 gunshots during the tragic June 26, 2024, Gen Z protests in Nairobi. Frank is an orphan, raised by his aging maternal grandmother after losing his mother at the tender age of 8. He never knew his father, a result of a teenage pregnancy, and life has dealt him blow after blow. Frank and his grandmother have faced unspeakable challenges, including surviving 2 devastating slum fires that claimed everything they owned: his late mother's documents, birth certificates, and school papers, leaving them with nothing to rebuid their lives. Forced to drop out of school in Form 2 due to a lack of fees, Frank started doing manual jobs to provide for his grandmother. But on June 26, 2024, everything changed. During the protests, Frank joined other Kenyan youth to exercise their democratic rights, peacefully demonstrating against unemployment, rising living costs, and rampant corruption. But the unthinkable happened. police opened fire on unarmed demonstrators, killing over 20, injuring many, and leaving others unaccounted for. Frank was among the victims. Hit by 6 bullets, yet by God's grace, he survived. After a series of life-saving surgeries, Frank can now walk again. But the bullets left a lasting impact. He can no longer perform heavy-duty jobs to support his grandmother. In their iron sheet home, deep in the slum, is inaccessible by vehicles. In case of a medical emergency, help is far out of reach. To make matters worse, the slum is plagued by insecurity, with daily cases of muggings and robberies. Despite all these challenges, Frank dreams of finishing his education, learning a trade, and building a better life for his grandmother, the woman who has stood by him through every storm. This is where we need your help. In the short term, we aim to move Frank and his grandmother to a safer home where they can access medical care and live without constant fear. Long term, we want to support Frank in completing his education, learning a profitable skill, and starting a small business. I've faced so much, but I'm still standing. I want to work hard, take care of my grandmother, and make her proud. I just need a chance. You can be the change in Frank's life. Every contribution, big or small, will go a long way in helping this brave young man and his grandmother rebuild their lives. Let's come together and help Frank fulfill his God-given destiny. God bless you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video widely, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Sound Candid Talk. Send your donations to Sound Candid Talk, support Frank Okoth account. The link is in the description below. Together, we can make a difference.